2024戒烟就赢比赛开跑，尼古清戒烟喷雾陪你一起强大。戒烟不容易，单靠意志力戒烟的人，时常无法克服戒断症状而失败。尼古清戒烟喷雾将是你的神队友，简单一喷，药品急速释放，立即缓解7大戒断症状，不限场合提高戒烟成功率。除了尼古清神队友，你还可以寻求专业医疗人员协助，一起迈向戒烟成功之路。尼古清戒烟喷雾，用科学方法戒烟，请咨询全台各大药局及戒烟门诊。本广告由尼古清戒烟喷雾卫部药书字第027835号提供，嘉安嘉护股份有限公司，台北市中山区民生东路3段2号10楼，北市卫药广字第1130-30190号。尼古清戒烟喷雾，相伴每个新开始。
But also with people not so much familiar with grappling, it's also very tiring. You get gassed out really quickly.
Oh, like, you know, the thing is, like, in grappling, like, you have to know. But one thing, though, is, like, the technique. Because you get tired when your technique doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because in the end, it's not CrossFit competition, it's martial arts.
Yes.
So you get only tired because what you do is not working.
Right.
So that's the thing people forget, because like people get, oh, I just gotta do my cardio. I just gotta, I'm like, no, you get tired because you suck.
Yeah.
That's why you get tired, because you have bad technique.
各位听众大家好，欢迎收听第3季第5集的 SSE 训练漫谈，我是廖教练。本集的访谈呢，延续上一周的内容，持续是综合格斗选手仁飘零的访问，但是这一集呢是以英语所录制的，所以可能大家稍微听得辛苦一点点了。在这边的话，我们谈到了有关于中国武术和综合格斗的相似性，以及通过传统武术训练上的限制，还有最重要的就是综合格斗的体能到底要怎么样来进行训练，最重要的元素又是哪些？以下请听本集精彩的内容。
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the first episode of English version of my podcast, SSE Training Talk. Today, my guest is a MMA fighter, Emmanuel Mbondo. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right.
Hi, everybody.
Emmanuel is a fighter who resides in Taiwan currently, and he also fights pro fights in Taiwan. And today we're going to talk mainly about the physical training aspect of mixed martial arts. But first, I'd like to ask you about the fight scenes in Taiwan, because as far as I know, mixed martial arts is currently, can I say that, not very popular within the Taiwanese sporting scene?
Yeah, you could say that, definitely. It's like, it's less popular than, basketball, I guess.
Yeah, of course. Or baseball.
Baseball, yeah, for sure. No, I think it's a tough sport. And, the young generation, they like it. So more and more people are getting into it. Yeah.
Yeah, fighting a lot of people can get their heads around, because in club sports we also have for example, any commercial gym, you can get 1 or 2 coaches who know how to do a boxing training session, yes, a mat session or something. And also because of the nature of the fighting, it's very exciting and very high intensity. It is a very good way to get a workout done. But
for sure.
Yeah, but in terms of mixed martial arts, let's put it this way: how many matches per year can we get in Taiwan currently, either pro or amateur?
Okay, so pro is more complicated, because it's professional fights. You need a sponsor, because you waste a lot of money, because you have to pay for the fighters to fly in, hotel, pay for the coach, you give them the purse for the fight, fight purse. So it's really expensive to have like pro events. Like even the lighting is expensive.
Yeah.
Like
revenue.
So some
of the very basic stuff.
Yeah, no, it's very expensive. So but mostly you have like amateur fights. Amateur fights is okay because the fighters, they pay to take part in the competition. So and people pay to come watch. So they can break even with the amateur fight. So you have more. So maybe I think they have like three times a year, something like that.
So in terms of pro fighting, how long has it been there? Has there been pro fighting in Taiwan, as far as you know?
Oh, it's been for a long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But like, it's hard to have like big events, but it's been for a long time. They tried, but the problem is like they waste money every time.
Yeah.
To be honest, that's what happened. Is like they had like the promotions came and they hosted events, but they couldn't sell much tickets. You know, like it's empty. The arena was almost empty, and they had to give tickets away to make people come. Because I think the problem in Taiwan is like people don't like to pay to go watch sports.
Yeah, that's a big problem.
That's a big problem because like if you're not used to pay to go watch, you cannot support the athletes and the sport cannot grow, you know.
Yeah, and there is also the problem of broadcasting because the pro fights in Taiwan, they are not they are not broadcasted on TVs, are they?
I think it was. Yeah, it is. It is on TV. But it is on TV, definitely.
I've seen a couple of times on TV, but it's not like live broadcast. It's always like delayed live.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So if it's not on mainstream media, then it's harder for people to get their heads around.
Exactly.
There's such a type of sport that is currently going on in Taiwan. So, for example, I did not know we've been having pro fights long times ago.
Yeah, no, they were, but yeah, like you said, like the problem is like people are not aware, so it's hard to build the audience, build the scene, you know, so people get used to like to go watch those events. Like
So where are you from originally, and how do you end up in Taiwan in the first place?
I was born in Geneva, Switzerland. So my mother is Swiss, my father is from Cameroon. So I'm mixed. So I came to Taiwan to study. So I did a PhD in mechanical engineering.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big effort.
Yeah, it's a big achievement. So fluid mechanics. And now I work in renewable energy, stuff like that. So so I started training as a kid. Like I started at 8 years old, I think. Like back home, every kid, they do either judo or like football. And outdoor activities. So I did more judo when I was a kid, and then I did Muay Thai, and I went to China, learned Kung Fu. And then I came to Taiwan, and in Taiwan there was like these MMA events. So I started fighting MMA.
So Kung Fu, in terms of Kung Fu, it is can we say that it's for Western civilization, the Kung Fu stuff is almost like a mystery because people don't necessarily understand that it doesn't mean a style of fighting. There are very, very, very many styles in the Chinese Kung Fu, and
yes, there are. Like the problem with Chinese Kung Fu is like the traditional Kung Fu. They don't have like a system. It's like they have like so many different styles, and there is no like standard. So you can have like people that are completely fake. And you can have like great masters, very knowledgeable with very effective martial arts skills. Yeah,
talking to you, I came to realize that there are real Kung Fu's and real values in the traditional Kung Fu to be had. But as general public, we have a sensation that most Kung Fu's are fake, you know?
Yeah, it's very sad, for the image. Because so what happened with Kung Fu is like basically they made like a sanda, which is a kickboxing, Chinese kickboxing with throws. And 武术套路is like the forms, right?
Yep.
Which is more like gymnastics.
Performance.
Yeah, so these two is like, so if you're a Sanda champion, people know, oh, you're a fighter, right?
Yep.
And if you do like a Taolu, you're a champion. It's like, oh, you're like a gymnast.
Yep.
So there are levels, so people can see like what level you are.
Sure.
So, and then you have the traditional kung fu on the other side. And the problem with traditional kung fu is there's no like
competitions.
There are, but it's like really local. It's small, you know. There's no like major events in traditional kung fu.
So people can study a certain style of kung fu for tens of decades of years and never compete or never understand their levels against another style of fighting.
So that's the problem, is like the lack of how would you say that? It's like there's
subjective standards.
Yeah, there's not like standard or like a playing field where you can compare. So you never know. Like when you have like a kung fu master, you don't know his actual level because there's no championship. There is no like body that can give like a certification on what his skills, where his skills are. So
how do you find your masters in the first place?
So I was a student in Wuhan, right, at the university, and I went training with the university, the wushu team. They did like forms. So I was training there. I was training the forms because they are athletes. Like they train hard. Like every morning they go do running, lifting weights, and then in the afternoon they do the forms. So they're like real athletes. So I was training with them for a while, and I'm like, oh, you know, I want to learn something, like I want to learn traditional kung fu, you know, because this is great, I love it, but I'm not a gymnast.
Yeah.
And if you look at my body type, I can't do it, you know. So I can't do all these flips and stuff they were doing. And they were like, yeah, for sure, yeah. So they took me to a master, said, oh, this guy is really good. I was like, okay. And the problem with traditional kung fu is all about reputation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I heard this guy was good. And it's like people talking, because there's no like real ranking. There's no like standard. There's no championship, you know. So it's always, oh, I heard this guy is good. And then you go find out. And so when I first came, I see the master was like way shorter than me. And he was like maybe 60 something kg. Back then I was like 80 kg. And I was strong. I've been training like since I'm a kid, you know.
Yep.
And he was like, oh, okay, so what have you been doing? I was like, oh, I did some judo and some kickboxing stuff, some wrestling. And he was like, oh, okay, let's try. That's what he said. Let's try. And he kicked my ass.
Wow. He
kicked my ass, and I was shocked. I was like, wow, he's like so much smaller than me. He's like, I have like 20 kg over him, and he just kicked my ass. He would just throw me down. I couldn't take him down, and like we also strike, and you just beat me up, you know.
So that's like the first experience of you getting into touch with the so-called mixed martial arts, although you haven't any idea of that is.
That was traditional kung fu.
That was
he was.
But in a sense, it's mixed. All right.
Yeah, mixed. Exactly. Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, mixed everything, because he didn't care like of any rules. He didn't have any rule set. Like it's gentleman rules.
Yep.
In China, it's like gentleman rules means like you, if you go dirty, I go dirty too. You know, you hit me as hard as you want to get hit. It's gentleman rules. So like it's like a sparring. When you spar, you have like this kind of agreement.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, he basically totally kicked my ass, and I was shocked. I was like, whoa! And it was like traditional kung fu. It was Tai Chi Chuan.
Yep.
So people make fun of Tai Chi, and I was like, no, but you don't know.
Slow movements, like weird stances.
You have to think about like, who is he? He's like from Chenjiago. Chenjiago is like the village where Tai Chi, the Chen style, was born.
Yep.
And how they train there is like every morning they do weights, running, and then they do the forms, the Tai Chi forms. And then in the afternoon they wrestle. They do sanda, kickboxing. You know, they are like fighters.
So Tai Chi Chuan, as we know, as the general public know, is just a form bit of that.
Yeah,
of that martial art.
So the only thing, people know the form. People only see the form, but like the people,
and it's very abstract.
Yeah, but the people training in China, the form is like a gymnastic that they repeat over and over.
Wow.
But they do a lot of tuisho, which is like Tai Chi wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So they do a lot of this traditional Tai Chi wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of sanda.
Yeah,
you know, and what is like kickboxing, like fighting. So these people are like fighters. They train like they are like athletes, you know, and so basically I saw that, I was in awe. I was like, wow, that's awesome. That's what I want to learn. That's what I came to learn. I came to learn a traditional style that is actually you can use. Yeah. So I was like, okay. So I started learning this Tai Chi Chuan and yeah. So but. Yeah, so I was sad when I saw like what they did like to those fake Tai Chi masters. No, I think it was a good thing to expose them.
Yes,
like they because they're fake.
But the sad thing is that's the only thing that people see.
Yeah, that's what is sad about. Is like that's the image it gives to the whole world. That this is like stupid.
That's
stuff
as
that
if telling the whole world that all kung fu stuff is fake.
Yeah, like because people like to generalize. People like to, you know, oh, this is fake, so everything related that looks like it's fake too. Like that's like human logic.
And I'm
people
sure that
associate.
And I'm sure that, sorry to interrupt, but I'm sure that you also understand, because your Mandarin is so good, you know, that the word kung fu in Mandarin doesn't necessarily mean martial arts. It can be something that you work very hard for a long time. Yeah, it's a skill.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you can be a cook and you have very good kung fu.
Exactly.
You can be the carpenter and you have very good kung fu. Kung fu means the time you spend. It's a craftsmanship.
Exactly, craftsmanship. That's the right way to put it. And then so I traveled in China and I found like masters in咏春拳, Wing-Chun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were like same. They were just as good. You know, so good. Like. It was amazing with the hands, what they do, you know, like when you get close to them, you can't do anything to them, you know.
Wow.
But the problem I found with the Kung Fu is like, it's the time they spend, and doesn't equate, what I'm saying is like the time you spend to develop your Kung Fu and the efficiency you get. It's like, what I'm saying is like MMA is more effective approach, you know, because like Kung Fu people, they spend so much time to master something that is really like
a set of skills that is
really
formed by their fight ideologies.
Yes, very so they get really, really good at that skill.
Mm-hmm.
But like in terms of fighting, you don't need to spend that much time into getting so good at that thing.
Yeah.
Because fighting is like there's so much in fighting.
Yeah, and because
so many
of
aspects.
With very distinct skill sets, you can also spot very distinct openings for other things to come in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, but the thing I like with Kung Fu is the spirit. Is like you can use whatever goes, whatever works. You can just use it. There's no like strict set of rules.
Mm-hmm.
So, but no, definitely like MMA, I think is the best because it's like it's a mixed, you know, it's a mix of everything, and you can see also traditional strikes from traditional martial arts. You can use them in MMA because whatever works, you know. It's like it's body mechanics. In the end, you know. Yeah.
And the stuff with Kung Fu is that if you only do sort of like a touch sparring stuff, you would never know what would work if you go full force, if you go all out.
That's the problem with Kung Fu is like...
You never know how the opponent can take a strike.
Exactly. That's the basic problem with Kung Fu is because like if you look at kickboxing, you put gloves on and you hit each other, right? But when you punch the guy, he just doesn't just die. Yeah,
it doesn't just go out like lights out like that. Yeah. Very rarely does that happen.
Yeah, I mean, you can knock him out. Yeah, but it's like it's hard. to knock somebody out. It's not that easy. And like the problem in traditional martial art, because they don't train with like protection, they don't spar like
hard.
They don't spar hard. Like I'm not saying in general. I mean like, but most of what we see, they don't do that. So they assume that hey, this is gonna work. Yes, it's gonna hurt, but
not necessarily going to stop your opponent.
Yes,
so to speak.
Exactly. And also like being able to take a punch is also part of boxing, right? Yeah.
So that in terms of traditional kung fu, do you go straight into the fighting part, or do you study a lot of forms as well?
No, like it depends on the students. So for me, like master say, oh, like because I'm a fighter, he looks at me. Okay, so this guy is a fighter. So I learn the form, but the form is more for me is more like a warm up. So when I'm done with the form, it's like, okay, I do the form maybe twice, just like a warm-up, just like you do some running. And then he teaches me like wrestling or like locks, striking. Then he teaches me like fighting skills. But when like people like who just wanna sweat, like in the gym, then they stick to the form.
Sure.
So it's the same when you teach in the gym, like when your fighters come in, you teach them drills, right? Partner drills, like slip and punch back, on like in boxing, right? But when you have like people just want to get a workout, then maybe you hold a little bit mitts and then you have them hit the bag, right? So that's what I'm saying is like it was a similar approach. Well, like for me, it was more like about like the fighting skills.
And in that sense, is there any value in practicing form to the actual fighting part?
The form is like a lot of body mechanics. It's similar to what they do now is animal movement training. You know that?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Animal flow.
A lot of Pilates. What is it?
Yeah.
Like
it's as if teaching the basic parts of language that the body needs to learn, right?
Yeah, it's like coordination training, basically. So like the form is, I think, it's a good warm up and it's a good coordination training. But for fighting, of course, it's useless because it's useless in the sense that you cannot use the form to fight, but the form. You use the form to learn body mechanics and coordination.
To connect stuff.
And because when you do the form, people show you how to do a kick. You can do it right away.
Yeah.
People show you how to throw a punch. You can do it right away because you have great coordination and your body understands. You know what you can do any movement. So that's the use of the form. But when somebody has already like high level of like coordination, then the form is not used anymore. Not much. There's not much use anymore.
And also, of course, also the form competitions, they are sort of like graded on the aesthetics instead of the usefulness.
Exactly. But that's like really gymnastics. It's not even fighting anymore. It's just like purely gymnastics. Yeah. But it's
very spectacular, very hard to learn, very hard to perform.
It's very hard. It's beautiful. And when I was training with the Kung Fu team, like you wouldn't imagine what amount of weight they lift. It's crazy. The squats, they do squats, they do calf raises because they have to jump.
Wow.
Yeah, and they have like such flexibility. They can jump, and like do a 720, and land in a full split.
Wow.
Imagine that. That strength, the explosiveness. They're athletes. Yeah.
So that brings us to the topic of the day, the physical aspects of the fights. What would you think is the most important attributes to the physical capabilities of a fighter? Is that cardio, or is that strength, or explosiveness, or speed, coordination, anything?
I mean, that is your field, right? That is totally your field. I should be asking you questions.
No, not necessarily, because when the first time we met, I helped you a little bit in the strength and conditioning to prepare for a fight. But back then, I didn't know anything about a fight. So in hindsight, had I been trying fights just a little bit, I would have trained you almost entirely different.
No, that fight was sad, like, because I got in shape, so good shape, because you helped me so much. Like, I was in the best shape of my life, and I got knocked out. Boom! I never saw that punch. I just
me
woke
neither,
up.
you know. I watched the fight live, and I didn't comprehend what happened.
Yeah, that punch was so beautiful.
The speed was so fast.
It was a counter. I came in too wild, I think, with a left hook, which was a stupid mistake. Because when you come wild with a left hook, then you're exposed for the cross.
Right.
So yeah, because I get inspiring. I dropped people with the same punch I got knocked out with. Okay. So I should have known better. It was a stupid mistake.
Was that like the first experience of getting knocked out?
Yeah, it was my first.
Wow.
So yeah, that was like stupid. I was sad. I was really, why did I do that? But I never saw that punch. I just woke up. I was like, whoa, I think I lost.
I think that's typical. Yeah. You lose all the memory. You only watch the TV and understand what happened.
Yeah, I had to watch the TV to understand what happened. But yeah, it was a good lesson. But I was sad because like I was in the best shape of my life, and I couldn't show anything.
But regardless of that experience, how would you what would you say about the physical preparedness of a fight? What's the most important attribute of a fighter?
Okay, so it's so complex, but I just want to keep it simple. So there's the force velocity curve, right? So you have like high strength, low speed.
Yes.
And you have like high speed, low strength, right? Yep. At the extremes. So for example, like when you wrestle or you grapple, it's like slower, but like a lot of strength.
Yep.
And then when you do kickboxing, which like boxing is really fast, but with less strength. So that means like depending on your style, on what you do, then you have to train different things, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're like a boxer, like a kickboxer, you do more speed strength.
Yes.
Explosiveness, plyometrics.
Yeah. Light stuff and execute it very quickly. Explosively.
Exactly. And if you like more like in grappling, you do like heavy weights, right? More like heavy stuff. And so that's one aspect, is the force velocity curve. So depending on your training, you have to do different exercises. And another thing is lactate threshold, right?
Yeah.
This is very important because like, so there's like cardiovascular endurance and muscle endurance, right? Two things. So that's the three things. I think this is the force velocity curve, the muscular endurance, and the cardiovascular endurance. So that's like three aspects you have to work on. But muscular endurance, I do it less because it's just, you just have to train to get it. So you don't have to spend too much time on it.
And also you gain already so much with your daily training in martial arts.
Exactly.
Drilling.
Exactly. So I think, so mostly is this force velocity curve and lactate threshold. I think that's the key, because like if you do more kickboxing is more about lactate threshold, because you have to move all the time, move fast. You know, like it's a burst, and then you move, breathe, you it's like you move, you breathe, you move a lot. But when you're wrestling or grappling, it's like it's about like it's all about like strength. It's like a sprint.
But also with people not so much familiar with grappling, it's also very tiring. You get gassed out really quickly.
Oh, like, you know, the thing is like in grappling, like you have to know. But one thing though is like the technique, because you get tired when your technique doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because in the end, it's not CrossFit competition, it's martial arts.
Yes.
So you get only tired because what you do is not working.
Right.
So that's the thing people forget, because like people get, oh, I just gotta do my cardio. I just gotta, like, no, you get tired because you suck.
Yeah.
That's why you get tired, because you have bad technique. So if you do it right, you get less tired.
Mm-hmm.
So like, that's the thing about MMA is like, sometimes people spend just too much time doing like,
worrying about their conditioning.
Doing the conditioning exercise. Like they watch TV and they say, oh, this guy is doing this, this guy is doing that. Oh, I should do this, I get better.
Fancy stuff.
But it's like, no, but actually I think you should just spend more time drilling, training, you know?
Yeah. Because
if you get better at martial arts, you get less tired when you fight. So, but when you have two opponents who have like similar skill level, I'd say, the intensity is the key.
Yeah.
Like who has more intensity, who has more strength, more conditioning, is going to be the winner. So that's why, like, it's the two sides of the coin, you know, like. So in terms skills of and strength and conditioning.
Sorry. So in terms of that experience, what makes you think that the training that we did last time was different, or making you feel that this is the how do you say that, more effective?
Because like what you had me doing was like repeated sprint ability.
Yeah. And
lactate threshold.
Yeah.
And so when I did these two, like so it was like one day was more about repeated sprint ability,
explosiveness, speed stuff,
and one day was lactate threshold.
Yeah.
And then when I did those two, I felt like inspiring. I would stay in the middle and people would just keep coming and I would never get tired.
Wow.
Like it was amazing. Like I used to get tired after a few rounds with, like, because I stay in the middle. We call it Shark Tank. When you stay in the middle and like every 2 minutes, they get a new opponent who is fresh.
Wow.
And you're like tired, but the opponent is fresh. And I could do rounds after rounds. I wouldn't get tired because of this training, because of this lactate threshold. My lactate threshold was much higher.
Yeah.
So you build up less lactic acid, right?
Yeah.
And you can my anaerobic power is better, you know. So you after each burst you can regenerate faster, you know.
But for me, the thing you've just said is also an eye-opening event for me, because I've just stated that had I known the aspects of training more back, of fighting more back then, I would have trained you very different.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what would have you done different?
The main thing is that I would actually put less in terms of your conditioning, in terms of your endurance. Because, as I said, you were already good when I tested you, when we did the lactate curve test. So I imagine that I've just said during our last recording, you were already on par with some of the runners I trained.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I imagine that with the volume of your daily training, your sparring, your warm up, your cool down, your light sessions, everything is always also some sort of cardio. So you were like already good. So had we been able to do it all over again, I would put more on the functional side, the functional strength, the flexibility, the mobility of your bodily aspects. And focus less on the regenerative endurance stuff. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Because if I remember correctly, you were not very flexible in your lower body.
Yeah, it was bad, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's like, mobility, how to generate, because there's one thing for MMA is very important, is torque rotation. You had me doing that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you do like traditional weightlifting is always like in plane, you know,
tightening up your body.
But
and
MMA
restricting.
is like a lot of rotation, you know. Yeah. So
So we did
changing directions.
Yeah, so we did little bit opening up your hip flexor muscles, getting you be able to generate better force from the ground, and also maybe shoulder mobility stuff, overhead positions, all that kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you also fixed my shoulder. I remember I had this shoulder pain. I couldn't do anything with my shoulder. It was so painful. I couldn't lift any weight with that left shoulder, and you fixed it.
So it's like a light. I wouldn't say I fixed it. It's an educated guess, I would say, because before becoming a personal trainer, I worked as a masseur.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah, so I know massage techniques, and combining that with the human anatomy, you sort of guess what is tight, and if I loosen it up, something would change. Yeah, that
was totally different. I couldn't do anything with my shoulder.
That's what we call an impingement.
Impingement, exactly. That's what I had. Shoulder impingement. Yeah.
So that was fun, and I also have to confess. You said that after that loss you were sad. Yeah, I was sad. Also sad, but more I felt guilty because I wasn't there to see the fight. You offered me tickets, but I wasn't there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you offered me tickets, and I had work, so I had to. Because that experience, I took your training as a sort of propaganda or promotion for my company back then. Yeah. Because my company already wasn't in a very good place. Yeah. So I also had a very high stress of maintaining my brand, keeping the cash flow and stuff. So I couldn't skip over any of my training session with my current clients, you know. And I didn't watch I didn't go to the venue. I watched the live streaming and I watched you lose. And back then I didn't understand anything about training. I thought you were sort of not getting stuff seriously. So after that loss, I didn't even connect you and sort of express my concerns and my care.
My loss was about skills. That's what I said. I said MMA is like skills and conditioning. So I lost because of skills. It was not a conditioning problem. Was just so you don't have to feel sorry at all. It was a skill problem. It's just a skill set.
Yeah. I mean, I just didn't understand all the aspects of a fight.
No.
So I sort of wrongly blamed
the other guy was just so much better, you know, and he cut me clean. So he's just like, just skills. My skills was just not good enough.
So that's like the second pro fight you ever.
That was my third.
The third, and your first loss.
Yeah, my first was
in pro fights.
Yes.
And you took another pro fight in 2019.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, like it was just skills. Like this game is made the best man win. You know, if the guy is better, then he wins. That's it. That's skills. So
you really have a big heart.
No, but like that's a sport. It's a skills. You know, like the guy is better, then you should win. You don't want to win when the guy is better than you. Yeah. No, if it's better, he wins. No, but like conditioning is like for me. I think what I focus on is really like. The strength curve and the lactate threshold. That's the two things I really focus on.
I think the stuff that I understood back then was like how these different methods of training interact with each other, because in training it's not like math. It's not like you add something and it automatically generates results.
Yes.
It also generates stress, and stress is a negative component of your daily life. It also affects your quality in your technical training and stuff. Mm-hmm. So for the average persons, they would have add more expecting to gain more, but that's not necessarily the case. And I was able to like spot your current strength, so to say, and spot the best way to dig out more from you, and not generate more of the negativity and the more stress, the more fatigue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
fatigue is really a problem because like you train so much.
Yeah,
and you train hard, and it's dangerous. You get injured when you train.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
You are also more prone to get injured when you are fatigued. Your focus level is down. You get hurt during the sparring.
And the most thing is like you need to get down in weight. Mm-hmm. That's a huge thing, though. It's like you have to to get down in weight.
And what's your weight class, and how do you normally walk around? What's your walk around weight and your weight class?
So like when I fight pro, I fight at 77 kg. Mm-hmm. But it's like the weigh-in is the day before the event.
Yes.
So you usually do a water cut, weight cut. So you dehydrate to make weight. So I try to dehydrate from, I would say, I usually try to do like 6-7 kg water cut.
Yeah.
So I have to
almost 10% of your body weight.
Never go beyond 10%. That's my rule.
Right. But that's also very grueling. When you consider that the blood volume of a typical person is only like 5 or 6 liters, so you have to sweat more than your body currently hold in your blood.
You feel like you're dying. You feel like you're going to die. Like last time I did weight cut, I couldn't even talk. If I sit down, I couldn't stand up. People had to carry me up.
Wow.
I couldn't stand up. I sit down and I cannot stand up. Like, people faint all the time when they do weight cut. You see people fainting.
When you used to fight in judo, do you also go through such an extreme...
Judo, wrestling, like, it's like people do weight cuts for a long time. It's like, in judo and wrestling, is like, because judo and wrestling is like really, strength is so important. Mm-hmm. Strength is so important.
So if you have an advantage in terms of your body weight, you want to keep that advantage.
Yes. Mm. Like you see less weight cuts in like kickboxing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see a little bit less weight cutting. But the point with weight cuts is like it's easier to get hurt.
Yeah. I've heard that your ability to take a punch is also extremely affected by the weight cut.
Oh yes, and even the bones can break, because of weight cuts. Yeah.
When you lose water, you lose mineral, and
yeah.
If you do that throughout the training camp, it's going to have some adverse, and also the calorie deficit. That's also a huge aspect in terms of bone health. People don't understand that. Yep. They think that I got vitamin D, I get calcium, I work out in sunlight, then it's sufficient. But no, if you're in huge caloric deficit, like if you're worried about your body composition and you go through long periods of time not eating enough, there's also affecting the bone health. Yes,
very much so. No, I have a friend, like my training partners, Florian Garel. He fought at 1FC. He broke one of his ribs when he got punched in the head. Because
what?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Because he does crazy weight cuts, like.
So he's taking the punch, so he braced so hard. Yeah, he broke his own rib.
Then he broke his own rib, but taking a punch in the head.
Bracing for that punch, head punch.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, because hard to imagine.
But it was back then when 1FC had weight cuts. Mm-hmm. And then because some fighter died during the weight cut.
I heard they got rid of the weight cut long time ago.
They got rid of it because the fighter died.
Do you think that is a good way to go?
Okay, so I think weight cut should be banned. I agree, because it's unnecessary. Because everybody does it, so there's no advantage anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, because the thing about weight cut, it was like, it's a trick, like I do weight cut, so I weigh more the day of the fight.
Yeah.
But now everybody does it anyways.
So everybody weighs more naturally when they fight.
But now it's like, he can cut more than you. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't know. I don't want to cut too much, because if I cut too much, then I have no cardio.
Yeah.
So it depends. You look at the guy you're fighting. He's like, I can cut weight. For him, I need to cut a lot of weight because he's strong. I can cut less, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So now it's like this game of weight cutting, which is unnecessary because everybody does it anyway.
Yeah.
So it should be banned, because everybody does it anyway. But the problem now is like, how do you set the standard for no weight cut?
Yeah.
Because that's what FC does. They have like this hydration test. Mm-hmm. Where like,
how do they test that? You pee and they examine.
You pee and they examine. You know, and they can tell how much weight you've been cutting.
Yeah.
But like, I have friends that fought there. They tell me actually you can still cut weight and pass the test.
Wow.
So
it's almost
now you can cut some weight, but not too much.
Yeah.
There's like, you can cut some weight and pass the test.
Yeah.
But it's like, so there's always room for this
manipulation,
because you can still cut some weight and pass the hydration test.
But in essence, it's still way healthier than the current system that most regulations.
I like this system. I like the same day weigh in, no weight cut, and they had like some other like
so if you
promotions that they would weigh you like 3 days in a row. Like I was that fight that one was in China. They asked me like, because they weigh you like 3 days in a row. The first day. You arrive, you check in, they weigh you, so you have to be within a certain weight. And then the second day and the third day, the day of the fight, there's like a weight range. And I think that's kind of the best way, because
the practical and more rudimentary. It doesn't rely on very high technology and stuff.
Because, and the thing is like, you can't be cutting weight every day.
Yeah, sure.
You can be so tired if you do that. You know what I'm saying?
Out of shape, completely unable to fight.
So that's way better. So like if you weigh the guy like 3 days in a row, he has to be in a certain weight. If he cuts weight every day, he's so depleted. So that people would fight closer to their walk around weight. So I think that's the better way. It's healthier for the athlete, you know. So to fight at your walk around weight,
right?
You know. So, yeah.
We're almost running out of time right now, so I still have so many things I want to speak with you. But one last thing, what is your like current occupation? Do you teach? Do you give classes for people? And if you do, how do people find you?
Okay, so yeah, I worked, and in the evening I teach some wrestling class. So I teach at Shinju BJJ.
So it's like more of a part-time gig.
Tuesday. No, I just like I like to share my skills. So I have this wrestling class at Shinju BJJ on Tuesdays, and another wrestling class on Wednesday evenings at Ant's Gym in Jubei. So yeah, I like to share technique. People can come and learn some of my techniques, you know.
And again, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge in my program.
You're more knowledgeable, way more than me.
I try to, but in terms of fighting, I know nothing.
No, it's like, it's so complex fighting, and it's like I said, like they have like different. You have some people say, no, you just train. That's it. You just do all your strength and conditioning training. What I used to do when I was a kid, I was just train with the heaviest guys all the time. Yeah. And that's how I got my strength. I would never lift any weight. And everybody said, wow, you're so strong. Like, yeah, because I just pick the heaviest guys all the time. So all the time I get my cardio and my strength, you know?
But by and large, as you progress through the rankings and you go more and more elite, it's harder to get practice levels, the similar level opponent that is heavier than you. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's hard to find. But the thing is, like, that's why it's so important to have like many different sparring partners, because if you go with heavy guys, they're slower, right? So you also need like small guys who are really fast. Yes. So you can train your speed. So it's like, I mean, yeah. But conditioning is so important, because I remember one time I went with this guy. He went to the Olympics. He got third in the world championship.
What event?
No, I was just training, and like at one point, I think his thing was not working on me, so I got a little bit cocky. I was happy, you know. I was like, yeah, and then he grabbed me and he just threw me, like, just with pure strength. He just grabbed me and just threw me just with strength, because he was kind of upset. He was trying to do his technique, and I was avoiding it. I was doing great, you know. I was happy because he's a champion, you know. Yeah. So he was kind of upset. So he grabbed me, just threw me, just with strength, just with brute force, and I was shocked. And I was just, wow, okay, I understand now.
Such an eye-opening experience.
Yeah, that's the difference between a champion and an amateur guy, because it's like, that's the champion is like you, but he with so much more strength. So I was like, okay, so you have to do strength.
Yeah, your physical capabilities also have to keep up with your technique level.
Yeah, like you get at the highest level when you have like highest level of strength and conditioning, with great level of skills. Because if you look at Olympic athletes, they are young, but the skill level, when you get great skill level, is later than that, because they are like too young, you know.
Yeah.
But you keep improving skills while you train, but your strength, there's kind of a plateau.
So that's why sort of like the mixed martial arts fighters, they almost their prime is almost like 35, 36 years old.
Yeah, because
almost the same as cyclists.
There's so much skills involved. That's why, because there's so much more skills involved in MMA. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is like strength is so important. Like I remember this guy is like, he's a wrestler, and he told me like he could never win. He was always like number 2 and number 3, you know, second place. He could never be the champion. And then he went training in China, you know, the sports university, sports institute, and they did so much weightlifting. He went training for a whole summer. When he came back, he never lost again, just because his strength went up one level.
Yeah.
Then he never lost again, because if you are like stronger one level, then everything you do is working now.
Yeah, sure.
All the moves you're doing, now they work.
Similar to our previous discussion in terms of traditional fighting and the actual combat, the fighting part.
Yes.
You need to really compete and know your level, know how things work, and know the different levels in between, the striking power and force and stuff, instead of just touching technique.
Touching is just touching. It's not real fighting. It's like fake fighting. That's the problem with like a lot of traditional martial arts, is like they get super good at fake fighting because they never actually fought. So yeah. But no, strength and conditioning is so important.
Thank you so much for your sharing today, and looking forward to cooperate soon if you so wish.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for your time. And
thank you so much.
I think that's it for you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
有点卡。
No, it's good.
Well, that's all for today, and if you happen to be in Taipei and looking for personal training, I would welcome you to check out my service at SSE Interaction. Find it on Facebook or via Instagram. Just drop me a direct message and I'll promptly reply. If you enjoy the conversation today, you can also please give us a good rating on whatever platform that you listen to. That is going to be of very big help. 好了，这一集的内容就到这边一样就是欢迎大家帮我们在脸书或 IG 留下评价，以及按赞追踪我们 Podcast 上架的各个平台。各位的留言对 Podcast 的曝光率是非常有帮助的。最近也在苹果上面看见了一则非常有趣的留言，听说是听到节目之后成为我的学生，可是我真的完全不记得印象中到底是我对哪一个人有这样子威胁力，又要将他逼他上去留言了，所以非常的感谢。许多网友们会提出一些问题，在透过脸书的私讯来跟我讨论，或者是 IG 的私讯，但是只要是跟节目相关的，我都非常欢迎大家直接在譬如说 SoundCloud 的播放程式底下，或者是直接在脸书我们 po 节目的那一则贴文底下去做留言的动作，因为你的疑问也可能是很多其他网友的困惑，然后在我们的问答当中呢，也许也可以激发出更多其他的讨论内容，所以我希望这些东西可以不要只是在资讯里面进行交流这样子。以上感谢大家，我们下礼拜见，拜拜。